Thanks for staying with us, everybody. We are set to start the Duel 3. I'm Sean Woodland alongside former Affiliate Cup champion Adrian Conway. We got Kiki Dixon down on the competition field. The Duel 3, what are the keys here, Adrian?
Oh man, this is going to be an amazing event. They're going to go up and over the log and over, under, over the log, and then of course they're going to get an opportunity to put the sandbags into that teeter for time. The keys here are to go fast and take chances. They've got to be willing to be aggressive, especially early in this race, to establish a time that's going to allow them to advance forward. And then as they get to the bag, they've got to scoop and go. We're going to see from a lot of the athletes are going to lap it and extend the hips rapidly to try to drop it into that teeter as quickly as they can. Not a lot of time for fumbling around.
Here are the overall standings coming into this event. Tia Toomey trailed by 5 points heading into the 10th inning. She now leads by 60. 375 points after the event win in the 10th inning. Laura Horvath drops to second. Emma Lawson has moved up to third, and it's Emma Carey and Gabby Magawa. The top 5 women in the standings will get a bye into round number 2. Second page of standings is all of these women will be on the field here in round number 1. The top 10 times will advance into round 2 to join the 5 athletes who got a bye. And once again, we apologize for the technical difficulties. There's been some Wi-Fi issues here at Dell Diamond. We're working through that. We have that sorted out, and now the athletes who will be in the opening heat are set to take the field. First 5 women out. Shelby Neal, Danny Spiegel, Paige Powers, Kyra Milligan, and Karin Freyova. Paige Powers has a chance to do some damage here.
Yeah, I really think she does, Sean. I think that she's an athlete that we've had our eye on throughout the course of this weekend, kind of waiting for her to allow us to notice and feel her presence. I think this is an event where she'll have an opportunity. Not that she's played a bunch of field sports. She kind of grew up with the swimming and diving background, but she is strong and she is fast, and we know that she's got some experience building momentum this year through winning Wodapalooza, so she knows what it takes to come out on top in a particular event like this.
Three, 2, 1, go! And here we go.
Over, under, over, and then 3 bags into the teeter. Danny Spiegel is way out front. She's going to be the first woman to the 3 150-pound sandbags. Now here comes Neal, Powers, Milligan, and Freyova. Spiegel's got 2 in. Final bag for Spiegel. She's got to touch that box. Her time will end right around 24 seconds. We'll see who comes in second. It's going to be Paige Powers, followed by Neal, and then Freyova. That was close between the 2 of them. Pardon me, Milligan, and then Freyova coming across the finish. Danny Spiegel wins that heat, top 10 times moving on, and she was way out front early.
Sean, she had a clean run right out the gate. What I loved most about that is the aggressive way that she attacked that log. From the moment that she approached that thing, it was like gangbusters. That's exactly what we talked about, though. We talked about that being important. Go fast and take chances early. The over, under, over is going to decide how fast you can open up and turn to sprint across the field, which gave her a huge advantage once she got to the bag.
The official times are being kept on the field. And again, the top 10 times from this opening round will move on. First of 3 heats, and it's Danny Spiegel, right around 24 seconds, who has the top time. Let's take one more look. As Spiegel was the first through the logs and had no problem with those bags.
Yeah, and Spiegel's on the far side of our field, so it's going to be hard to get a shot of her. As you see her dashing away from the remaining 4 athletes that are just eating her dust as she makes her way across the floor. She got to the sandbag a whole 2 seconds ahead of everyone, and we knew she would have no problem with the 150-pound sandbag getting it over that 44-inch teeter there, and she's all smiles all the way through the finish. That is a great time to establish a start.
1 heat down, 2 to go in this opening round. Again, the top 5 athletes in the overall standings get a bye into round number 2. Now, originally, there was supposed to be a rope climb in this event after the over, under, over. Because of the chaotic weather, they decided to lose that portion of the event. There is Danny Spiegel. comes in to this event in 17th place overall. The third place finish in the circus to close out day number 2. Then started this morning with a 20th in 10th inning. Heat 2, Rolf, Brandon, Gazan, Semenza, and Elena Karatala Sanahuya will be the next 5 women out. We know Alex Gazan is someone who has little trouble with heavy implements. If she can get to those bags early in this heat, she has a chance to advance.
She does. I think she's got a great chance to have a really, really strong time to start this event here. Of course, all these ladies in their mind are thinking, hey, I've got to make sure I'm a top 10 time. And we could perhaps see all 5 of these women advance, right? So it's not just about the left to the right. You've got to maximize whatever you can do when you can do it. I think this is a great chance to see how well Alex Gazan gets to seize the moment in a very short sprint-based event like this one.
30 seconds.
Which she's going to have her work cut out for her against this lineup here. Danielle Brandon, we know, has a track and field background as well, coming out of Sac State. So she's not in unfamiliar territory when she gets to turn and sprint and perhaps even go over a hurdle or 2.
Representing the Fighting Hornets, the Sacramento State University. Danielle Brandon in 12th place overall with 185 points. Her best finish was a 7th in Texas Heavy.
3, 2, 1. Go.
Second heat is underway, and Karatala Sanahuya got a bit of a jump there on the start. Paige Semenza got hung up a little bit coming over the log. Danielle Brandon first to the bag along with Alex Gazan. They both have the first bag in. Emily Rolfe loaded her first bag in. Final bag for Brandon and Gazan, and it's going to be Gazan and Brandon, followed by Paige Semenza. Rolf and Sanahuya across at the same time as well. We will wait for the official times. The second heat is done with 1 heat remaining. Top 10 times moving on. And it looks like Alex Gazan edged out Danielle Brandon to the finish.
Yeah, that was a photo finish, we'll say the least. I saw who I had my eyes on, though, was Paige Semenza. She started quickly up and over the hurdle, and it took a nasty spill as she chose to literally hurdle over those things. And she was still able to close the distance on Alex and Danielle, even as she made up the ground to allow herself not to finish too far behind the leader. Danielle looked like she was the first one to the bags, but I think Alex got her and edged her out on the way to the box.
So unofficially for Gazan, 25.8 seconds. Danielle Brandon, 26.01. Looks like Danny Spiegel still has the top time, but Paige Semenza going over to that log like she was on a line change back at Ohio State and got hung up. And hopefully she's okay with 1 heat remaining now. And here are the times. Paige Semenza takes 3rd in that heat. Elena Karatala Sanahuya just under 30 seconds, and Emily Rolfe at 30.24 seconds.
Now, for me, from a gaming perspective, I'm thinking if I'm Paige Semenza, that strategy was paying off until she took the spill. So on the next time she gets an opportunity to take the floor, does she run it back? Does she still take that same type of risk and go over the log with 2 feet at the same time, kind of using that sidearm as a hurdle? Or do you kind of roll over the top of the log, which we've seen most of the athletes do up until this point? But right before she took that spill, she was in a great position.
So 1 heat remains in this opening round. Laura Horvath, who is currently in 2nd place in the overall standing, so she gets a bye into round number 2. Here are the athletes in this final heat. Manon Enganez will be in lane number 1. Lowen is next to her, followed by Lauren Fisher, Christine Kohlenbrander, and Bethany Flores.
Christine Kohlenbrander is an athlete that I got my eye out here in this particular heat. She's athletic and she's strong. She makes no doubt when it comes to picking obstacles up from the ground. We'll see her, of course, get an opportunity to do that later this evening with the deadlift, but I think she's going to make really fast work of the sandbag off the floor and into the teeter. So I'll be interested to see how she sets that up coming over these logs.
Bethany Flores leading the athletes out to the field, 10th place overall. Has 3 finishes inside the top 10. Her best was a 6th in Texas Heavy on Thursday. And there is Christine Kohlenbrander, currently in 8th place overall, coming off a 6th place finish in 10th inning earlier today. So far, Danny Spiegel unofficially has the top time, right around 24 seconds.
3, 2, 1, go!
We are underway. All the athletes getting over the first log, under the second, and over the third. And in lane 5, Bethany Flores on the outside. In the middle of the field is Lauren Fisher. She was the first of the bag. Flores is going to be the last woman to get her first bag in. It's going to be tight in the middle of the floor between Lowen, Fisher, and Kohlenbrander is going to be first. Lowen is second. Manon Anganese looks to be third. Fisher was fourth, and Bethany Flores now coming across in fifth. Lauren Fisher getting hung up a little bit on the bag allowed Manon Anganese to overtake her. Christine Kohlenbrander takes that heat and looks to advance to round number 2.
And it's been interesting too, Sean, what we've seen so far. It's not necessarily that you got to be the first one to the bag, but you got to be close, right? If you're not there close to the person that's leading the way, you're not going to have an opportunity to close the gap. And what we saw here was just that from Christine Kohlenbrander, is that she wasn't the first over the logs. She wasn't the first to put her hands on the sandbags, as we see, of course, Lauren Fisher being athlete number 1 to get there. But what can happen is that you start to hip those sandbags, and not all of the transitions end up being so clean, which is what we saw here from fumbling from Lauren Fisher, which allowed her the opportunity to kind of lose that lead that she had initially going into sandbags, and Christine Kohlenbrander captured that moment right when she needed to take that heat win.
First round is done. We'll wait for the scores to be tabulated. Bethany Flores is going to be in trouble at 32.38 seconds. Christine Kohlenbrander and Ariel Lowen look to be safe, as they are the top 2 in that third opening heat. Manon Anganese puts up a time at 27.22 seconds, and now they will figure out who the 10 athletes are who will join the 5 athletes who got a bye in round 2. We are back here in Dell Diamond Stadium in Round Rock, Texas. Cuts have been made, and we are getting the field set for round number 2. The 5 athletes who got the bye at the top there for heat number 1. We will wait for the official results. Alex as we get the field set for round number 2. Spiegel and Ariel Lowen. We return along with Danielle round Brandon 2. Will be in heat number 3. Paige Semenza, despite that wipeout, is going to make it into round 2. Manon Anganese, Lauren Fisher will be there as well. And now for the final 2. Paige Powers makes it, and Emily Rolfe. There are your 15 women who are advancing into round number 2. Gabby McGowan looks on. She will be in heat number 1. She was one of the 5 athletes who got the bye into round number 2. 5th place overall is McGowan. But after a 2nd place finish in Texas Heavy, she's finished 8th, 6th, and then 11th in 10th inning. And we did have one athlete who was disqualified in round 1, and we saw it happen. Elena Caratala Sanahuya on the right side of your screen for a false start. You can see she got off early, and she was disqualified from round number 1. Bottom right of your screen, one more look at it. You can see the jump that she got ahead of the go. And that cost her a chance to move on to round number 2.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You hate to see it, but also, hey, the rules are there for a reason, and you can't create unfair advantage. One and done.
We're getting ready to start round number 2. 15 athletes remain. The top 10 times, once again, will move on.
So these top 5 have yet to experience this. The question is, what did they learn by watching those first 3 heats go? The first lesson is don't leave early, Sean. That's the first one.
That will cost you.
Keep that hand on that marker And then after that, I would really hope that they have been able to understand and frame the importance of a clean run at the bags. Yes, you want to be fast there, but if you fumble one of those three, it really opens the door for all kinds of time for athletes to make up on you or close the gap, or for you to get too far behind to be able to advance.
Emma Lawson is behind Gabby McGowan. Lawson currently sits in third place overall. Tia Toomey, Laura Horvath, and Emma Carey also in the first heat in round number 2.
One of the most difficult parts of being corralled this way, other than, of course, always constantly for about an hour and a half straight looking your competitors square in the eyes, is that you're pretty static there. And then you know you have to take the field to be fast, to be explosive, and to be deadly accurate. And that is a difficult task, to stand still, be stagnant, and then all of a sudden be asked to move as fast as possible through space. It's a skill that these athletes hopefully had plenty of opportunities to refine and practice in their training, but it's a skill that's learned through experience.
Emma Lawson in third place overall, but she has been extremely consistent so far in this competition. She and Tia Toomey are the only two athletes without a finish outside the top 10.
And that's what you like to see. That's what you want to see from champions in this sport, is that if you can minimize your appearances outside of the top 10, it's going to set you up for opportunities to win.
And Emma Lawson will be working out of lane number 4 right next to Tia Toomey, Laura Horvath in lane 2. And then it's Carey and McGowan on the opposite ends of the field. And there is Tia Toomey, has 2 event wins under her belt so far. 375 total points, a 60-point cushion on Laura Horvath coming into this event.
3, 2, 1, go!
Heat 1 is underway. Over, under, over. Emma Carey getting a little bit hung up on that second log. Laura Horvath looks to be the first woman to the bags, followed by Toomey, Lawson, and McGowan. 150-pound bag, they got to get it over that 45-inch lip. Horvath has 2, Tia has 2, McGowan's on her third bag. Horvath is going to win this heat convincingly. Lawson's going to be second, McGowan, and then Toomey, and now here comes Emma Carey. Laura Horvath taking heat number 1 of round 2 in convincing fashion. Lawson and McGowan getting in ahead of Tia Toomey, but we still have 2 heats to go. Top 10 times remain.
71, yep, right there. Good job.
Yeah, fast overall heat there. Laura really seized the opportunity, and it wasn't even early that she started fast. It was the way that she finished. Up and over the logs, what we saw initially was Tia had a great attack. She went up and over very cleanly. She led with her lead leg immediately over the log, and that gave her success to have a couple steps on Laura. But Laura closed the gap, passed her on the sprint, and then she seized every moment, as she has a tremendously fast ability to get the bags into the teeter, and she sprints through the finish, beating the other women by seconds.
Laura Horvath looks to be safe and advance into round number 3. The question is, where will Tia Toomey's time sort there, as she is 4th place in the heat? These are all unofficial. Horvath 25.25 seconds, followed by Lawson, McGowan, Toomey at 27.43. So keep that number in mind, as once again, the top 10 times remain in contention. Those are the times that will move on to round number 3. And Emma Carey at 29.78 seconds is 5th.
And we see several different recovery strategies taking place. Bethany Flores with the feet kicked up, flushing some of that blood away from her legs so they don't get too heavy. Got Christine Collenbrander going through the old traditional track warm-up, the leg swing. Hopefully some of the folks tuning in with us are familiar with that in their warm-ups and or prep work for their training on a day-in and day-out basis.
Getting set for the second heat here in round number 2. The athletes have lined up there in the third base dugout. They'll be making their way out onto the field here in just a moment. But this is the first that we have really seen the sun on a consistent basis here at the Rogue Invitational. So that shade's certainly coming in handy, as it is hot and humid down there on the field.
All right, folks, here we go. Making their way out
Yeah, especially with all that rain we've gotten all weekend. When the sun comes out, it gets pretty brutal.
There is Paige Powers, who had a solid run in round number 1 to get herself here into round number 2. Needs to start scoring some points, though. 16th place overall coming into this event. And she has had a really great year. Won Wadapalooza back in January, and then finished in a top 10 spot at the CrossFit Games for her best career finish as an individual. Is Manon Anganez, who is out on the field as well. Paige Semenza, Lauren Fisher, and then Emily Rolfe in lane 5.
And I'm interested to see what kind of up and over we see from Semenza. She's the one that took a spill in the first run, but it was a fast means to get over the log. Is she willing to put up that same kind of risk here in Heat 2?
3, 2, 1, go!
Heat 2 of 3 is underway. And Semenza clears it, and Semenza is going to be the first woman to the bags, followed by Manon Anganez, Lauren Fisher, Emily Rolfe, and Paige Powers right now in 5th. Anganez slips as Powers is on her second bag. Fisher is on her second bag. Powers with one more bag to go, along with Paige Semenza. Semenza's in, and she will win Fisher, Anganez, Rolfe, and then Paige Powers.
Hey, Semenza knew she was on to something. She just needed to nail it, and she dialed it in on that one. A little bit more cautious on her second over with the log there, but wow, that strategy really paid off. She is explosive, field sport athlete, hockey as a background, played many sports, and she's flexing it and showing it off here during this event.
Just like going over the boards, and she clears it this time, swings those 2 feet around up and over on that third log. You can see her right there in the middle. And that approach paid off. We'll see if anybody tries to duplicate that now here in heat number 3.
That'd certainly be something I'd watch. And the beauty is that she really sees the opportunity with the bags as well. It wasn't that she had a lead and didn't let up on it at all. She seized the moment, kept the lead, kept her foot on the gas pedal, and dialed in that accuracy all the way through the finish line.
Paige Semenza takes her heat and looks to move into round number 3. Top 10 times advancing from here. Semenza coming off an 18th place finish at the CrossFit Games back in August. This is her first appearance at the Rogue Invitational.
I got to tell you, with Spiegel's initial time, I can't wait to watch her go again to see how she shot out of those logs so quickly.
She had a great run there in round number 1. 25.40 seconds, just misses unofficially Laura Horvath's top time of 25.25. Lauren Fisher and Manon Anganez separated by just 0.4 of a second. Paige Powers gets in inside the 30-second mark, and Emily Rolfe at 30.24 will be in trouble with 1 heat remaining here. Third and final heat. There is the master board in the third base dugout where they're tallying all the results. Ariel Lowen and Christine Kohlenbrander, Danny Spiegel, Alex Gazan, and Danielle Brandon getting some final instructions from the judges here. It looks like the field is reset. Now the athletes will take their position to start this third and final round.
Ladies and gentlemen, round 2, 3 athletes.
And these women have had a chance to take a run at this event already, and Spiegel was the one in her particular heat that came out on top with a fast time in the 26-second range. So we know that she's definitely got what it takes to enter into that 25-second domain. We wonder if she's going to take any of the lessons that she's learned or change her strategy at all going into this run here in round 2.
Danny Spiegel coming off a 20th place finish in 10th inning earlier today, looking to get back on track here in the Duel 3. Final round of round 2. Athletes are set. We'll keep an eye on Danny Spiegel right there in lane 3, pardon me.
1, go!
We are underway. Spiegel up and over, no problem. Slides under, and Spiegel once again looking to open up a lead here. Christine Kohlenbrander and Ariel Lowen fighting for second. Alex Gazan and Danielle Brandon will be fourth and fifth to the bags. Kohlenbrander taking the lead, though, on the bags with Ariel Lowen. She's a little faster than Spiegel right now. Spiegel has caught up. Danny Spiegel on her final bag. Danny Spiegel in almost at the same time as Lowen. You got Kohlenbrander, Gazan, and then Brandon are in. We will wait for the official result because it was close between Danny Spiegel and Ariel Lowen.
Oh man, anything can happen in 25 seconds, Sean, anything. I'll tell you what, Spiegel shot out like a cannonball on the other side of those logs and got the lead early, but had a little bit of a fumble there on that first log, or that first bag.
And unofficially, it is a razor-thin margin between Danny Spiegel and Ariel Lowen. Spiegel at 24.45, Lowen at 24.47. 2/100ths of a second. That's basically a blink of an eye.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know if it's a full blank. It's there quick.
One more look at how close it is. Spiegel and Lowen, man. Wow. Kohlenbrander, then Gazan, and then it's Danielle Brandon on the far side of the field. Just take another look at just how close this was.
And there's a bit of strategy there, Sean. Spiegel makes contact early on the box versus Lowen lifts her hand and makes contact dead in the center. That is literally what decided. Ariel almost had more of her body across the finish line, but she wasn't making contact as early with the box. That savviness and awareness to make the earliest contact possible is where it paid off. Wow.
We have to wish Ariel Lowen a happy birthday today, and looking like as a president she's going to advance into that third round, but we'll wait for the top 10 times to be tabulated. Danny Spiegel, that's the fastest time we've seen, 24.45 seconds. Lowen, the second fastest time we've seen unofficially at 24.47. Kohlenbrander, Gazan, and Brandon. There's a good chance all 5 of these women might find themselves in the final round.
That was they were cooking.
And remember, Tia Toomey's time of 27.43 seconds. Laura Horvath looks to be safe. She was at 25.25 unofficially. So they're already, that's 6 athletes who are faster than Toomey. And you have Paige Semenza, who won her heat. She'll probably be in the mix. That's 7. So this could really be a big opportunity for Laura Horvath to chew into that 60-point lead that Tia Toomey has right now atop the overall standings. Ten women advancing to the next round. 5 move on after that, and then we will have the best 2 go head-to-head for the event win. Danny Spiegel talking things over with Kyra Milligan and Paige Powers. And Tia Toomey, much like we saw the last time she was at the CrossFit Games in an elimination event. Think back to the event we had with the single unders and how she got tripped up there, forced her to move on. She could be safe. She's going to be right on the bubble with that time at 27.43 seconds.
Yeah, and this is some of the most, or the more anxious moments that athletes will experience. The hurry up and wait side of things where scores are tabulated, things are made official, and you just hope. You hope that you punch your ticket and make it through. And typically, Tia's not really akin to this type of situation. She's not used to it. She's not used to being on the cusp. So even as we reference that time in history, it's a rare occurrence for her that she's on the bubble this way.
Looks like they're putting the names up now for the 10 women who will move on to round 3. Spiegel, Lowen, and Horvath, no surprise there. Kohlenbrander's in as well. And Paige Semenza.
Oh, that he was fast.
Zan and Brandon. Two spots left. The final name, Manon Anganese. Tia Toomey not advancing. This is a huge opportunity now for Laura Horvath. Trails Toomey by 60 points in the overall standings. The best Toomey can do is 11th.
Yep.
And that's where you talk about the bye maybe not being an advantage, because I am guaranteeing you if Toomey got another chance, she'd be faster on her second try.
Completely. Yeah, and this is where, we have that mantra of it pays to be a winner, and it does in most cases. In this case, you got to rest, but does it create a disadvantage to you not to have that extra rep, not that extra practice? And as we saw Tia there, it was a slight glitch, a slight fumble there, that bag that cost her a second or two, and that's enough to keep her out of the top 10.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, round 3 of the Duel 3 as our coverage continues at the 2023 Rogue Invitational. We started with 20, we're down to 10 as we move into round number 3 here of the Duel 3 at the 2023 Rogue Invitational. And Tia Toomey is going to finish in 12th place, not making it into round 3. Now that would be good enough for 45 points. So if Laura Horvath wins this event, she will cut 55 points off of that 60-point deficit. Toomey can still hang on to the overall lead. The first of 2 heats for this 3rd round, making their way out to the field. Manon Anganese, Lauren Fisher, Alex Gazan, Emma Lawson, and Danielle Brandon. And this is also a big opportunity for Emma Lawson, sitting in 3rd place. She has a chance if she can advance, and Laura Horvath does not. Lawson could find herself in 2nd place overall. Trails Laura Horvath by 10 points for 2nd place. And again, she has been extremely consistent. The only other woman other than Tia Toomey, well, now Toomey is going to have a finish outside the top 10, so Lawson has a chance to be the only woman with no finishes outside of the top 10. Here are your lane assignments for this opening heat in round 3.
3, 2, 1, go!
No problem on the first log. Everyone under the second. Lawson getting hung up in the back a little bit as Danielle Brandon, who is out front. Manon Anganese is going to be second to the bags, followed by Fisher and Gazan, and now Lawson just getting there on the left side of your screen. First bag in. Second bag in for Brandon, Gazan, and Fisher. Third bag in for Gazan, and it's going to be a race to the finish. Gazan, Brandon, Anganese, Lawson, then Fisher. Top 5 women advancing. Alice Gazan and Danielle Brandon were neck and neck to the finish.
It was close. It looked like Danielle might have tapped that box first. Let's see the times here.
We saw a finish between Danielle Spiegel and Ariel Lowen in the prior round. That was just 2/100ths of a second, but it was Danielle Brandon who got out to that lead early. In the back there was Emma Lawson, who got hung up, but she was able to make up some ground.
Yeah, great navigation of the bags by Danielle there, even a quick shuffle to get to the last bag, and then it looked like her hand made contact just before Alex.
One more look, and it does look like Danielle Brandon edges out Alex Gazan. Anganese is going to finish 3rd, and then it was close between Lawson and Fisher, with Lawson getting there just before Fisher. Unofficial results right now. Brandon 24.55 seconds. 11/100ths of a second ahead of Alex Gazan. Manon Anganese will take 3rd. Emma Lawson and Lauren Fisher.
Yeah, and it was obvious early. Emma, I don't know if she made a bit of a different approach to that first log, but she gave a little bit of a hop step. And she made contact early with her lead leg. It definitely caught her off guard and made her pause as she came over that log, which of course put her behind early.
24.55 seconds. You beat that, you're guaranteed a spot in the group of 5. There's only 5 women are advancing into round 4. And then after that, it's the top 2 going head-to-head for the win. Women in the final heat, they're in the third base dugout, waiting to get sent out onto the field. Paige Semenza will lead the way, followed by Laura Horvath, Danny Spiegel, Ariel Lowen, and Christine Kohlenbrander.
All right, this is exciting here. We get to see what some of the fastest times so far taking the field together are going to produce. Is anyone going to dare to mimic Paige Semenza's hurdle over the log? Is anyone going to try that? Are they going to switch up? They're going to go with what they've known? We'll see how this plays out. There's a good chance that Semenza and Spiegel will be the first to the bags, but what will happen there is the question. Will Horvath be able to overtake them? Will she find a way to have a lead?
And in that last heat, only 3 seconds separated Danielle Brandon from Lauren Fisher. No room for a mistake here.
No,
in this round.
Athletes have to have complete tunnel vision. No matter what's going on around you, focus on the work ahead. Be where you're at.
There's Laura Horvath, who's looking to carve a significant amount of points off of Tia Toomey's 60-point lead for the top spot in the overall standings. Horvath will be in lane number 4.
10 seconds. Three, 2, 1, go!
All right, folks, here we go.
We're underway. Paige Paige Semenza up and over, no problem. Up and over again, that other log, no problem. She's about neck and neck, a little bit ahead now of Danny Spiegel. Semenza to the bag first. First bag loaded for her. First bag loaded for Spiegel and Horvath. All the athletes on their second bag. Semenza on her third bag. Spiegel's going to win the heat. Semenza got hung up on the lip. Horvath is second, Semenza third, and then it was tight between Lowen and Kohlenbrander.
Couldn't script it any more exciting, let me tell you, from up here. Oh my goodness. These women are moving up and over those logs. That sprint is awesome. Spiegel can open up when she gets open space in front of her. She does a great job getting after it, driving her elbows back, knees up. She covers ground very well, as does Semenza.
Spiegel was the second woman to the bags, and she was neck and neck with Paige Semenza. Semenza got that final bag hung up on the lip of that teeter, but really efficient was Semenza around those logs. And she was the first woman to get her hands just ahead of Danny Spiegel on those bags. And this is where Spiegel does the damage.
Yeah, she does. She's so consistent here, Sean. And then watch what she does when she taps the box. Just a slight, nope, right there on the front of the box. She doesn't even hit the top. And so if it's this rule is to make contact, she's doing it in just the right place as early as possible. That's what you want to do to trip that time and make sure that you get your time across the line.
Danny Spiegel will find herself in the final round. She had the fastest time unofficially that we have seen, 22.1 seconds. Laura Horvath looking to advance as well at 23.18. Paige Semenza, she was also faster than Danielle Brandon's winning time. Ariel Lowen and Christine Kohlenbrander. So it looks like Kohlenbrander 1/10 of a second behind Lowen, and that's going to be enough to possibly knock her out of the final round, because Danielle Brandon's time of 24.55 would slide in there in 4th place, but we'll wait for the official results. So 1/10 of a second is what might be keeping Kohlenbrander from that next round of 5.
Well, and this brings it up again, Sean. We talked about, is it an advantage? Is it a disadvantage? We see times continually getting faster. These athletes get reps, they get to adapt, they understand, they can dial in their accuracy. They're a bit more composed from that first initial run where, of course, we got a little rust on, we're anxious, we're nervous. But now they're out there hitting a bit of a flow state. These are, of course, the fastest athletes in the field now as we dwindle down to the top 10. But as we get into the top 5, man, I'd imagine that these times are just going to continually to be shaved down faster and faster.
Round 4 coming up next here, so stay with us, everybody, as our coverage continues from the Dell Diamond Stadium in Round Rock, Texas, of the 2023 Rogue Invitational. The final 5 names have been put up there for round number 4, with the top 2 advancing. It's Kazan, Brandon, Semenza, Horvath, and Danny Spiegel.
Fast times, lots of points available here for these 5 women. Gotta seize the moment. Laura Horvath is chomping at the bit for that top spot.
Laura Horvath now with a chance to put some room between her and Emma Lawson for second place. Horvath came into this event with a 10-point lead on Lawson for second and continues to shave points off of Tia Toomey's 60-point lead. Toomey coming in with 375 points, Horvath at 315, and now the worst that Laura Horvath can do is 5th. That would be good enough for 80 points. Toomey is finishing in 12th. If Horvath finishes in 5th, she would reduce that deficit by 35 points. Top 2 women from this heat will go head to head in one final race for the win.
And the advantage now that we've gotten down to 5 is that it's truly a left to right race. Yeah, we're still racing the clock, but we know amongst the 5, like, I just got to get top 2. Got to get top 2, so got to do the thing fast enough to be in the top 2, understand from left to right. I can't force anything, but I also can't afford to make any mistakes.
They're getting the order set in the dugout before they walk the athletes out to the field. This is going to be great for Alex Gazan, who comes in 11th place overall. She'll look to crack the top 10 after this. Paige Semenza as well, 13th place overall. Danielle Brandon in 12th. So 3 women who came into this event outside the top 10. Danny Spiegel as well, so 4 women. Spiegel right now in 17th place. All with a chance to pick up some very valuable points here in the latter parts of this event.
I know.
It's going to be exciting to watch everyone's different styles. Over, under, over. Take the floor here. I got to say, I like, from a consistency standpoint, I like what we've seen from Danny Spiegel so far. The most consistent to get in and out of the logs, the fastest, and still be consistent on the bags, as we know that she can create even more separation there at times.
Now, round 4. 5 athletes remain, making their way out onto the field, led by Alex Gazan, Paige Semenza, Danny Spiegel, Laura Horvath, and Danielle Brandon. Semenza's really been the best when it comes to the logs, but it's been Danny Spiegel, like you said, who's done the work on the bags that has made the difference for her.
Yeah, I'd say Semenza has the most athletic approach. She takes a fast, aggressive approach to the log, a little hop step, and then she literally just hurdles it almost with 2 feet at once, using her hand as like a kickstand. But the elevation and separation that she creates from that first log buys her extra time in the air, and where Spiegel stays low and turns over, that's where she gets those feet to the ground quicker, and that's ultimately what trajected her out in front of Semenza on that final log in the last round that we saw. So we'll see how this plays out.
Spiegel will be in the middle of the field right next to Paige Semenza.
3, 2, 1, go! And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This
Round
is
4 is underway. Spiegel up and over. She's neck and neck with Paige Semenza. Danielle Brandon in 3rd, followed by Horvath and Gazan. First bag in for Semenza and Spiegel. Second bag in for Spiegel. Second bag in for Semenza. Spiegel's done. Danny Spiegel advanced. And now a race between Horvath and Semenza. And that could be big for Laura Horvath. She may have gotten there just ahead of Semenza.
I gotta say, I agree with you, Sean. I think she made it by a hair. It looked like she had the advantage there, Laura.
Just from our vantage point, that's the way it looked, but we'll wait for the official results. But Laura Horvath, that is huge for her, as she has a chance now to pick up at least 95 points. 22.95 seconds. She does get in ahead unofficially of Paige Semenza. So it's going to be Horvath and Spiegel head-to-head for the win. At the very worst for Laura Horvath, as you look at the finish here, Danny Spiegel winning once again. But at the very least for Laura Horvath, you can see how close it was. She will trail Tia Toomey by just 10 points going into the next event. There are your unofficial times. Danny Spiegel once again.
Wow.
And you mentioned it, continuing to get faster here. 21.80 seconds. Laura Horvath just under the 23-second mark, followed closely by Semenza, and then Gazan edging out Danielle Brandon by 3/100ths of a second.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but we see this at the affiliate level. We see this at the elite CrossFit level, but man, we're adaptable. We're adaptable humans, and that's what the training methodology designs us to be. We get exposure to something, and just a few touches on it allows us to learn and improve very quickly. And that's what we're seeing from even the elite women right here that are out there on the field, is that they get to experience something, and when they get a chance to run it back, they're going to do it that much better.
Paige Semenza is going to wind up with her best finish of the competition so far. 3rd place for her. There are your final two. Danny Spiegel taking on Laura Horvath for 100 points in the win in the Duel 3.
In the business, going head to head in round number 5.
Laura Horvath looking to pick up an event win here along with Danny Spiegel. Horvath won event 3 to close out last night's competition in Circus. And Danny Spiegel in 17th place overall. With this win, she can really rocket herself up the overall standings. Her best finish so far, a 3rd place, also in the Circus on Friday night.
Yeah, and Danny Spiegel being one of those athletes that she knows when it comes to being as well-rounded as possible, she's got some holes, and that's for certain. She wouldn't deny that. But there's also a unique understanding that athletes have to take when they compete at an elite level to continue to train your strengths at a high level so that when the opportunity presents itself, you can nab the 100 points when it's out there. This, of course, being one of those chances for Danny Spiegel.
We'll step away for a quick second. When we return, Spiegel versus Horvath for the event win in the Duel 3. We are set for the final head-to-head matchup between Danny Spiegel and Laura Horvath for the event win here in the Duel 3. Thanks for being with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with former Affiliate Cup champion Adrian Conway. Kiki Dixon is down on the field as Laura Horvath and Danny Spiegel head out to run this thing back one more time.
It's about to be live. Round 5, about to go down right here. Till Diamond.
Plenty of practice up until now. They both know what it's like. They both know where they got to make their hay. Both of these women have shown great promise with the Sandbag. Both of them winning particular heats so far at that apparatus. The question will be maybe who gets there first.
In the last heat, Danny Spiegel was out front with Paige Semenza. The two of them have really been the best at navigating these logs.
Yep. It's just about seizing the moment when she gets there. It's a different kind of pressure when it's just two.
Ten seconds. Three, two, one, go.
Here we go, Spiegel versus Horvath for the win. Spiegel is out front. Danny Spiegel looking to get to the Sandbags first. She will. Horvath is there. They get the first bag in. It's neck and neck. Second bag is in. Spiegel has a slight lead. Third bag is in. This was going to come down to the finish, and I think it was Danny Spiegel. It looked like Danny Spiegel, but we will wait. But that was about as close as you can get.
Oh, man. I almost pulled a muscle jumping around.
21.75 seconds for Spiegel, 21.83 seconds for Laura Horvath. So Spiegel's going to pick up the event win. Laura Horvath, the good news for her is she'll pick up 95 points, and she will only trail Tia Toomey by 10 heading into the next event.
Hey, Spiegel knew what she had to do, and she's been doing it every time she takes the floor for this particular event. She's up and over those logs. She's first to the sandbags. Now, there was a slight hesitation here at sandbag 1. I don't know what it was, but Laura closed the gap, and then here, the whole entire event, Spiegel's been tapping just the front of that box, and it's allowed her to have a slight edge and advantage over that final split second over the field.
What a finish for Dani Spiegel and Laura Horvath. But Dani Spiegel, she was extremely consistent throughout and picks up 100 points, looking to move into the top 10 in the overall standings. And Dani and Laura Horvath are with Kiki Dixon.
Dani, congratulations on your event win. You had some serious finesse out there. Where did you learn to slide like that?
It was just instinct. I was just running away from these girls.
It worked for you. You were very consistent. Laura, this event has different rounds, repeated rounds. What adjustments were you making on the fly as you went round to round?
I didn't do any adjustments. I just raced to the level of my competitors. Every time my heat was faster, I just went faster.
And what was it like to go head-to-head with Dani?
It was awesome. It was really good, fun.
Dani, in between the rounds, you looked so comfortable, confident. What was it about this event that you feel gave you the advantage and confidence like that?
They didn't strap a ruck to me.
Sandbag.
What was that?
She also loves the sandbag.
Love me a sandbag, yeah.
One more time.
Love me a sandbag.
She loves the sandbag. It showed. Congratulations, and thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
First event win of this competition for Dani Spiegel, and she will look to really move herself up the overall standings. Laura Horvath with that second place finish carves 50 points off of Tia Toomey's lead. Heading into the final event of the day, which is that 1 rep max deadlift. Dani Spiegel, followed by Horvath Semenza, her best finish of the competition. She picks up 90 points, finishing third, followed by Alex Kazan and Danielle Brandon. Tia Toomey takes 12th in the event. Her first finish outside of the top 10. Emma Lawson now the only athlete who has yet to finish outside of the top 10 in any event. Gabby McGowan takes 11th. There is Toomey in 12th. And then Elena Caratalasanahuya down in 20th. Again, she was disqualified for a false start in round 1. Here are your updated overall standings. Tia Toomey continues to lead, but now Laura Horvath just 10 points back. Emma Lawson sits in third. Gabby McGowan now 30 points behind her. And it's Emma Carey in 5th. Dani Spiegel moves from 17th up to 13th. Paige Semenza knocking on the door of the top 10, as is Danielle Brandon. Event 5 is done for the women. Close finishes all over the place in the Duel 3. Dani Spiegel, Laura Horvath going head-to-head, and it was a photo finish as Dani Spiegel picks up the event win in 100 points. Laura Horvath, though, carves into Tia Toomey's lead, now just 10 points back of the 3-time Rogue Invitational champion. Women are done. Men coming up next. Stay with us here at the 2023 Rogue Invitational. The men are set to take on the Duel 3 presented by GoRuck here at the 2023 Rogue Invitational. Glad you're with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland alongside Adrian Conway. Kiki Dixon is down on the field. This one's all about just getting the work done, Adrian.
Yeah, there's not a lot of gray area here at all. These guys are going to sprint as fast as they can. They're going to go over, under, then over a log. Sprint across the field to 3 sandbags, which you're going to remove from the ground into the teeter and cross the finish line as fast as they can. And those bags are 200 pounds each.
4 men will be on the field for this opening heat. Again, the top 5 men in the overall standings get a bye into round number 2. Garrett Clark, Dallin Pepper, Bailey Martin, and Tudor Magda to lead things off.
2, 1, go.
And here we go.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, our athletes hopping over the bar, trying to get over the Teeter and just
Dallin Pepper has some trouble getting over the log on the final part. He takes a spill. It's Bailey Martin and Tudor Magda, the first 2 men to the bags. Martin's already got 2 in there. Lugs the third one up and over, and Bailey Martin's going to take heat 1. Dallin Pepper with a nice recovery. He's going to get second. Magda, and then it's Clark in 4th.
Yeah, and I expected this from the men. I knew that we would see a lot more of that Paige Semenya style approach in regards to aggressiveness up and over the log versus the one leg over with the spin that we saw a lot from the women. And we saw Pepper take a spill, just like we saw Simmons on her first run. Luckily, he's strong enough to regather himself on the bags and make up some ground to still get second in that heat. Don't know if that time's going to be good enough to advance, but he made it happen.
One more look, and keep an eye in lane 2 on Dallin Pepper. Great recovery for him. This is where he ran into some trouble. Took a spill off of that third log as Bailey Martin gets to the bags first, but then it was Dallin Pepper who made quick work of the bags to get in second place behind Martin.
Great clean run there for Bailey to kick off this event. It's got to be a great feeling.
Next 5 men getting set to make their way out onto the field. So Martin at 23.17 seconds, top 10 times moving on to round number 2. Pepper at 24.40, and then it's Magda and Clark. So overall standings coming into this event. How about Noah Olson, who moved from 7th to 2nd, courtesy of his event win in 10th inning. Now with 290 points, Pat Vellner's your overall leader. Adler tied with Olson in points. Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson into the top 5, and Roman Krennikov now sits in 5th, just 10 points up on Brent Fikowski. So Vellner, Olson, Adler, and Gudmundsson, along with Krennikov, all getting a bye into round 2. We just saw Clark, Magda, Pepper, and Martin go. And spots 15 through 11 will be up next.
Talk about a shuffle. That was quite the shuffle there after this morning's event.
Noah Olson picks up his first Rogue Invitational win in the prior event, and now just sits 20 points back of Pat Vellner for the top spot in the overall standings. And as we saw with the women, this event can really shake up the standings.
Yeah, it really can, with no room for error here with how fast these runs are. Got to keep our eye out on Jayson Hopper. Football background, played a year at Clemson as a walk-on. I don't think he's in foreign territory when he sees a bunch of open grass out in front of him, Sean.
Not at all. 14th place overall is Jayson Hopper with 190 points. Best finish was a 4th in the circus on Friday night. Here are your lane assignments. Hopper will be on the left side of your screen, top of your screen from this angle in lane 1. Morad Hosta, Hoffer, and then Lazar Jukic at the bottom in lane 5. .17 seconds. That's the fastest time we've seen so far from Bailey Martin.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1, go.
We are underway, and that was close for Will Morad in lane 2. Let's see if he got off a little bit ahead of the buzzer there. Morad is going to be the first man to the bag, followed by Hosta and Hopper. Hopper has the bag in. Jukic has his first bag up and over. Hosta has 2 bags already loaded. Hosta on his 3rd and final bag. And it's going to be Hosta and Hopper, followed by Morad. Hopper and Jukic forgot to touch the box, but they're still going to give him a time.
Hopper did too. Hopper ran right by the thing. I don't know if he touched it. I don't know what's going to happen, but equally his judge was telling him to go back and he had to tap the box.
We'll see what that does. So a mental error for both Hopper and Jukic, not touching the box. See how that affects their time.
They said we had a chip.
We have one heat left in this opening round.
Man, and this one was close all the way out. Victor Hopper, I don't know, he pretty much did a somersault over that log. I don't know how he got back on his feet and started running, but it was really close all the way to the bags. And then we saw Jelle Hosta. He had an amazing ability to go from ground right to the perfect height, right at the right time. And you see there at the top of your screen, Hopper runs right past the box, looks at it, looks at his judge, he's like, what's up, what's going on? He has to run back and make the touch. And that is going to be costly for him.
And then Jukic runs across as well, and I don't think he went back to touch it. So here are your heat results. Jayson Hopper right now at 22.35 seconds, followed by Hosta, just a tenth of a second behind him. Morad in third, and then Hopper and Jukic all above the 25-second mark. So if that stays, Hopper and Hosta will now have the two top times, with Bailey Martin's mark of 23.17 seconds sliding into third. Top 10 times do move on.
Well, let's just take out the guesswork and touch the box next time, fellas. Okay? That's yeah, that stresses me out up here in the box, even watching it happen. You would hate to see an athlete not rewarded for their effort and for their execution. It's clear that Hopper had the fastest time in that heat, but you definitely want to make sure that you're beyond reproach there and do what is asked of you, and make sure that you're doing that in the future.
Next 5 men out will be Travis Mayer, Jay Crouch, Brent Fikowski, Chandler Smith, and Ricky Garrard. And Garrard with those sleeves on, looking to help himself get a good grip on that sandbag.
Yeah, that's an interesting technique. I've used that. I've seen athletes use that, especially with rough and tumble type exercises. You know, they're covering their arms when they're going to do a lot of reps. This is just 3. But you know why? Ricky's expecting to do a lot of sandbag cleans in this. He wants to get it up into that apparatus as many times as he can because he wants to stick around. And Ricky's got a great chance with a field sport background. He's played a lot of rugby. We know Ricky likes to take chances and to go fast in almost every event that he gets an opportunity to do so. So he's definitely someone to watch in this, and he'll be out there in lane 1.
I think he also wore those sleeves in 2022 in the sandbag ladder. He did pretty well in that event. Garrard will be in lane 1, next to Chandler Smith. Brent Fikowski in the middle of the field, and it's Crouch and Travis Mayer here in this third and final heat in round 1. All the men on the field right now inside the top 10 in the overall standings.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1, go.
Mayer up and over, no problem. And it's Garrard in lane 1. He is in the lead. Garrard looking to be the first man to the bags, followed closely by Fikowski, Crouch, and Mayer. Chandler Smith struggling with his first bag. Garrard's already got 2 in. Garrard is on his final bag, as is Travis Mayer, and it's going to be Travis Mayer ahead of Garrard, followed by Crouch and Fikowski, and here comes Chandler Smith.
Another tight race there. Travis really making fast work of those bags. Wasn't the first to them, but made a very clean run to get all 3 right into the teeter very quickly. Go ahead, Sean.
No, just say signing his scorecard, and it was the work that he did early on, really clean up and over those logs to stay somewhat even with Garrard getting to the bags.
Yeah, he's an explosive athlete, and we know this. He can run, he can jump, he can cover distance fast, but he's pretty much neck and neck. And into this point, watch what he does here to scoop and lap the bag quickly. And then he's aggressively throwing it down, not waiting for it to drop, so that he can turn and get right back to that next bag. And it really paid off for him, edging out Ricky Garrard to that box.
Travis Mayer looking to stay alive, top 10 times, moving on to round number 2. And we will get our first look in that round at the top 5 men in the overall standings.
even as I watched Ricky on that last heat, it was, see the times here.
21.97 for Travis Mayer. I believe that's the fastest time we've seen. Ricky Garrard at 22.77 seconds. Crouch is in third, and then Brent Fikowski at 23.75. Chandler Smith is going to be in trouble. He may not advance to the next round. Take a quick break. When we return, we'll have the 15 men who are in round number 2 as our coverage of the 2023 Rogue Invitational continues. We are set for round 2 for the men in the Duel 3. As we know, the 10 men who will join the top 5 in the overall standings, who will advance to this portion of the event. Travis Mayer is one of them. Jayson Hopper is going to get in as well. Yellow Hosta. Ricky Garrard moves on. And Bailey Martin, they will be in Heat 3. Heat number 2 will have Jay Crouch. Brent Fikowski advances as well. Dallin Pepper, the nice recovery, gets himself into Heat 2, followed by Will Morad, and the final man advancing, Tudor Magda. 3 more heats, top 10 move on to round 3. The overall leaders will be out on the field. This is the first time, remember, that they have gotten to go through this course. During the break, we saw Vellner and Adler out there running a little bit, trying to get their hands on the sandbag, and you really liked what you saw from Jeff Adler.
I really did. I liked the way that he was approaching the bag and really just touching it. What you're going to see from a lot of these athletes as they approach the bag is they give it a little bit of a scoop very low to the ground to get their fingers secure under the bag. Jeff almost had an approach where he was just bear hugging that thing and ripping it off the floor. We'll see if that pays off for him or if he actually uses that strategy here in this heat.
200 pounds, 90 kilos on those 3 bags, and they have to get it over that 48-inch lip. It's about 1.2 meters that they have to lift that bag up and over. We're set for Heat 1.
1, go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, our athletes up and over this one.
Pat Vellner is going to be the first man over that 3rd log, and Vellner, as Adler takes a spill. So Adler now back in 5th place. Vellner to the bag first. First one is in. Gudmundsson has his first in. Krennikov and Olsen as well. Now Adler has his first loaded. Vellner on his 3rd bag. And Pat Vellner is done. And Vellner wins, followed by Gudmundsson, Adler. Krennikov's going to come in, and now Noah Olsen is 5th.
Olsen, all under 30 seconds.
Boy, they really like to try to do that hurdle over the log. And let me tell you, we've seen a lot of butts hit the ground pretty hard today. They're going to have some sore derrieres from taking that spill. That's a long way to drop.
23.27 seconds for Vellner to win his heat. He is the overall leader after finishing 13th in Texas Heavy. He has a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 4th under his belt.
Yeah, and Pat really cruised here early. His strategy of hurdling this log is very effective. He minimally clears it. He doesn't jump high and egregiously clear it with a lot of room under his legs. He barely skims over it, and that's the trick in any hurdle type of action. And here he makes very fast work of these 200-pound sandbags. He's got a little bit of a hesitation there on bag 3. I guarantee he'll even clean that up and make that faster as we progress through these rounds.
Pat Vellner looking to move on to round number 3, 23.27 seconds. Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson in ahead of Jeff Adler. Roman Krennikov's going to finish in 4th in that heat, and Noah Olsen at 28.21 seconds finishes 5th.
Adler did a great job recovering there, Sean. His spill was a big one, yet he found himself making his way back to those bags, and of course he did what we assumed he would once he got there. He did those very quickly, getting them up into the teeter, but boy, that could have been costly. We'll see, of course, how that time stands as the other men finish this round out.
2 more heats to go, top 10 times moving on. Then we'll cut the field to 5, and then it's a head-to-head battle between 2 athletes for the event win.
it's funny to watch the men in the dugout versus the women. There's a lot more like unsettled movement, jumping, plyometrics, stretching, kick in, right? Like they're just, they can't sit down and be still. The women were just composed, hanging out.
A lot of nervous energy down there.
No doubt.
So next 5 men, Tudor Magda, Dallin Pepper, Bailey Martin, Will Morad, and Brent Fikowski.
And from this heat, we saw Pepper being that first athlete of the first heat when we started this event that took that initial spill. Now, I'm assuming with a run under his belt, again, this is the advantage of not having to sit out, is that he had some slop take place and he has an opportunity to clean it up. Whatever that mistake was coming over that third log, you've got to assume now he'll have dialed in and possibly be able to show us one of the faster times or faster runs through this particular event.
And despite that error on the logs, he still finished second in his heat. The bag's not a problem for Dallin Pepper. If he can get through those logs cleanly, he's got a chance to put up a top time here. He will be in lane number 4. It's Morad, Fikowski, Crouch, Pepper, and Magda here in heat 2 of 3. 23.27 seconds from Pat Vellner. That's the fastest time that we have seen.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1, go.
We are underway, and Dallin Pepper approaching that final log. He's over cleanly. It's Will Morad this time who takes the spill. Fikowski, first man to the bags. First one is in for him. Bailey Martin in lane 3, struggling a little bit as Fikowski's going to get in ahead of Pepper and Magda.
Wow.
Sorry, that's Jay Crouch who's there. Apologies to Jay Crouch. 22.02 seconds for Fikowski unofficially.
And he was impressive over those logs, and I got to say, Pepper was 4th to the bags, and again, still finished 2nd overall in that heat.
Brent Fikowski looking like he might have the top time here.
We hit the log? Oh, man.
And moving into round number 3.
We get a clean look here of everybody coming up and over. And Brent is clearly the leader coming over the logs. You see Pepper to the right of your screen, the black top, just barely getting to the sandbags 4th. Brent has a clean run to get him over. Doing a slight adjustment, but no hesitation, no pausing. Nothing that really costs him time, and then he is quick to the box, gives it a tap, and enjoys the sweet taste of victory.
Brent Fikowski looking to move on here. Fikowski in 6th place overall with 265 points. He's only 25 points back of Jeff Adler for 3rd. So 1 heat remains here in round number 3. We'll make that round 2. The top 10 men advance into round 3. There is Bailey Martin on the right side.
With Bailey Martin, Ricky Garrard, Jelle Hosta, Travis Mayer, and Jayson Hopper. This could certainly, we're going to see some fast times coming out of this particular heat. These guys are all fast, all explosive. Jelle was not one of the first necessarily to the bags in his heat, but boy, he made fast work of getting those things into the teeter and across the finish line.
Jay Crouch talking things over with Brent Fikowski.
Brent probably saying something along the lines of, man, you should just be taller. Something like that to get that sandbag into the teeter a little faster.
Brent Fikowski, 22.02 seconds. That is now the top time that we have seen. Dallin Pepper also gets in ahead of Pat Vellner's mark. Tudor Magda, 23.41 seconds. Takes 3rd, followed by Crouch and Morad. Final heat, taking the field, led by Bailey Martin. Yellow Hosta next to him. And you mentioned Hosta before they got out here on the field, Adrian. If he can just get to those bags somewhere near the front, that's going to really bode well for him.
It will. He loves simple work. He loves grunt work, and this event encompasses those things. It's about having smooth over, under, over for him right here to start this race.
Hosta will be in lane number 4.
10 seconds.
We are set for the third and final heat in round 2.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1, go.
Here we go. Hosta with a little bit of a late start. Travis Mayer and Jayson Hopper along with Bailey Martin could be the first men in the bags. Martin and Garrard both there. Here comes Hosta. First bag in for Martin and Garrard. Second bag's in. Third bag's in now for Travis Mayer, and this is going to be close. I have no idea on this one.
I'm completely lost with you, brother.
What a race between those 5 men. And we'll wait for that to get sorted out from the timers.
Wow.
That's probably the closest heat we have seen between the men and the women so far from top to bottom.
Man, I can't wait to see these times because that was a fast run.
It looks like Mayer won with a time of 21.8 seconds. If that is true, that's the fastest time we've seen. So one more look at it here.
Wow, like you said, Sean, Yella had a bit of a late jump off the starting block, a little hesitation there. Martin and Travis, first ones to the bag. Or I'm sorry, that was Ricky that was one of the first ones to the bag. And Travis Mayer made up some great time here in his transitions in the middle of the screen there in the middle lane. And he punched it right across that finish line.
And it looks like it was Travis Mayer. Here's a better look at it. Oh, man.
So good. And he took a little victory roll right there.
Mayer by maybe a split second over Hopper and Garrard, followed closely by Hosta and Martin. And we will wait and see how this one shakes out, but I cannot imagine there's more than a second separating everybody here. Top 10 times moving on. Here you go. 21.8 to win, and it's Hosta in 5th at 22.19 seconds. The 3 fastest times we've seen so far come out of that heat. Bailey Martin looks to advance as well, along with Hosta. Very good chance that all 5 of these men move on. Now that, who are going to be the other 5? Brent Fikowski at a time of 22.02. That looks pretty good, as does Vellner's 23.27, but still a lot needs to be sorted out. 10 men moving on here to round number 3. Take a quick break as they figure out who that will be when we return. Round 3 of the duel for the men here at the 2023 Rogue Invitational. They are putting the names up of the 10 men who will move on to round number 3. Pat Vellner did make it, as did Brent Fikowski. Gudmundsson is in there. Ricky Garrard's going to go as well. Jayson Hopper advancing. And Travis Mayer. So no Adler and no Krennikov. Now this is huge for Pat Vellner, as Olsen is not in there either.
Yep.
So Gudmundsson now the only man in the top 5 in the overall standings who is left. Vellner came in with a 20-point lead over Noah Olsen, and he has a chance to really widen that gap here. Olsen's going to take 15th. Adler's going to take 11th. Adler at 290 points will add 55 to that total. So Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson only trailed Adler by 5. Gudmundsson could wind up in a top 2 position here. And Brent Fikowski could find himself in the top 3.
Yep. Yeah, and BKG doing BKG things, just a silent assassin, finding his way into the top 10 very consistently. And that's just what we've seen him do for the last 10 years.
After
one of the
12
most consistent athletes.
It is. It's incredible just how consistent that guy is. After a 12th place finish in Texas Heavy for Gudmundsson, he's in the gray shorts and stretching out back there. He has a 7th, a 6th, and a 2nd. Let's take one more look at that last heat that we saw. This is the closest heat we've seen in any of the competitions so far, men and women.
Yeah, they served it up just like we thought they would. We knew this would be an extremely fast heat based on their previous runs and times. All of the men making a pretty clean run, over, under, over with the logs. And then literally it was just rep for rep here. Who was going to find ways to shave time back to the next sandbag was the biggest question. Are they throwing? Are they pushing? Are they shuffling to get back? And then this photo finish.
And less than a second separating first from fifth. Travis Mayer in the white shirt is the guy who won the heat. Hopper and Gerard were that close as Mayer makes the touch. I mean, it is a blink of an eye there between him and Hopper. Ten men remain. We'll have 2 heats, and then we'll take the top 5 times into round 4. And once again, the first round bye really not paying off as 3 of the 5 athletes who got a bye have been eliminated. First heat getting ready. We mentioned Jeff Adler. He came into the day in 2nd place, tied with Pat Vellner in points. Coming into this event, he now sits in 3rd, and he's going to take an 11th. And this could be why. He is there on the right side, falling over that 3rd log. And as close as these heats are, you have something like that happen, it's hard to make that time up.
No, it is. It's very hard. And you can see that right there on the right of your screen. He's very fortunate that he didn't actually get his arm caught behind him the way he came down. So not only, of course, is he taking an 11th place due to that slip and fall, but also he's fortunate to not have caught that right arm behind him and have further damage. But the thing to consider is that he had the bye. And did that cost him? Did it make him feel a little rusty? Did he not have that practice round? But him not advancing forward or having a clean run, this could be simply just that lack of exposure or lack of practice.
And Pat Vellner, once again, has a great opportunity here to widen his lead on top of the overall standings. 310 points coming in. He had a 20-point lead on Noah Olson, who hasn't advanced as well. He was up 20 points also on Adler. He's not in. Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson now is the biggest threat to Pat Vellner's lead. It's Gudmundsson, Vellner, Hosta, Pepper all look like they're getting set along with Tudor Magda for this first of 2 heats.
And we know up into this point, all of these men can post a good time. It comes down to who's going to seize the moment. Who's going to seize the moment, who's not going to fumble the bag, who's not going to try to do something new and exciting over the log. Good, clean run is all you need for the opportunity to advance.
Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson making his 4th appearance here at the Rogue Invitational. He was 6th last year, 4th in 2021, 2nd in 2020.
And just one of those athletes, Sean, that doesn't tend to get that love and respect that some of us that have been around the sport for a long time really understand that he deserves. And it's because he's not so flashy. He's just very consistent. And that's what allows you to be a top athlete for a decade like he's been in our sport, is consistency. Doesn't win anything from an event standpoint very often, but he is constantly towards the top.
Here are your lane assignments. It's Magda, Pepper, Hosta, Vellner, and then Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson in lane 5. First of 2 heats here in round 3. Top 5 times advance.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1, go.
First heat underway. Once again, it's Pat Vellner, first man to clear the third log, but in lane number 1, Tudor Magda, the dead sprint's going to catch up with Vellner. Vellner with the first bag in, along with Magda and Gudmundsson, all 5 men on their second bag. Vellner onto the third bag, as is Yellow Hosta. Hosta's going to be the first man done. Hosta's in first, followed by Vellner, Pepper, and Magda, and I think it was Gudmundsson in 5th, but that one was close. 21.30 seconds for Hosta. Vellner a half second behind him, followed by Pepper, and it was Magda, and then Gudmundsson in 5th.
Hosta is just so fast with those bags. He's rangy. He can put those arms right around those things from a center distance between him and the teeter.
Yellow Hosta looking to move into the top 10 in the overall standings. He's only 5 points back of Travis Mayer for 10th place.
Man, and Pat was fast over those logs there on that round. So was Tudor. We see Hosta here about 3rd to the bags, but then he just has this unique ability to get them up and over that barricade faster than everyone else. He pushes away from each sandbag to get them right back, and then he used it to traject him around the finish line.
21.30 seconds for Yellow Hosta. That's going to be tough to beat. And he looks to move on to round number 4, but 1 heat remains here in round 3. Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson, that's going to be big for Pat Vellner. That's a time that may not advance from Gudmundsson. Vellner looking good at a sub-22 mark.
Yeah, Sean, with the times that we've seen these men post so far, 24 seconds, unless something glaring out of the blue happens to one of these athletes on their run, it's unlikely that he'll advance. So, yeah, Pat's going to be sitting in a pretty good position.
Vellner and Pepper talking some things over as we are getting ready for the second and final heat here in round 3. So it's Hosta at 21.30. Just keep these times in the back of your mind as we watch this next heat. Vellner at 21.86 and Dallin Pepper at 22.58. So all 3 of those men faster than 23 seconds. Let's take one more look at that last heat. And Pat Vellner, despite the fact that he got the bye, it looks like he figured out these logs very quickly.
Yeah, he did, and he's got some experience with objects like this, of course, through his years of competing at the CrossFit Games. And then he's consistent at the bags. His transition work isn't quite as fast as Yellow, but it allows him to stay within striking distance, and it's a clean run, and that's what you look for most. I'll tell you, he had a touch of a hang-up on that second bag, getting it over the lip of the teeter, and if he can clean that up, he's going to be right there stride for stride with Yellow in these future races.
You know, and as we've seen, stuff like that makes a huge difference. In that one heat we saw in the prior round was less than the second separating first from fifth. You have a little bobble on that bag, it can cost you. So Bailey Martin leading the way out here, followed by Ricky Garrard, Travis Mayer, Brent Fikowski, and Jayson Hopper all on the field. And there is Brent Fikowski, who could find himself inside the top 3 after this event if he has a strong showing here.
That's right, and he was fast in the over in the last portion of the event that he was in, or the race, or I'm sorry, the heat that he was in. So it's all about can he seize the moment at the bags.
3, 2, 1, go!
Second final heat here in round 3 is underway, and it is dead even to the bags. Travis Mayer is towards the back, but Fikowski, Hopper, Garrard, and Martin all getting to the bag at the same time. This is going to be another close one. Hopper has the second bag, Hopper has the third bag. Garrard gets hung up. Garrard got hung up, and it's Hopper who's going to win. Garrard's going to take fourth, followed by Martin, and Ricky Garrard got hung up on his third bag, and that cost him. It looks like he was going to race to the finish with Hopper, but it cleared the way for Hopper to win that heat. 20.52 seconds. Travis Mayer at 21.18. Hopper and Mayer both faster than the top 3 times from that prior heat. Fikowski looks like he's going to stay alive. Not sure Gerard, Martin, or Dallin Pepper are going to advance, but we'll see as this gets sorted out. But keep an eye on Ricky Gerard. He had a great run until he got to the third and final bag.
He did. It was neck and neck completely all the way through for the top 4 athletes. Mayer bringing in the tail end, of course, and then somehow he was able to close a ton of ground on these athletes here at the bag. And Ricky looked good. It looked clean even up into this point.
And then a bobble from Bailey Martin as well.
And that's what gets you. You got to see it all the way through, up and over the lip of that teeter.
Here's your heat winner, Jayson Hopper. No problem with those 3 200-pound bags, 90 kilos for him, and a heat win. And now you'll see the bobble from Ricky Gerard there in lane 4. This will be on his 3rd bag. Martin has a problem on bag number 2. This is where Gerard loses some valuable time right there, trying to work it over the lip. Jayson Hopper should find himself moving on to the final round of 5 before we have that head-to-head battle.
Yeah, and that's one of those mistakes there that Ricky's gonna be frustrated with for a while. But that's the uniqueness to an event like this too, is that you've got to stay focused all the way through the finish line. Like most races, especially ones that are short in duration, there's a unique skill there that exists with getting that sandbag into that teeter and making sure that it's high enough every time. Because we've seen many times where the race has actually been won or lost right there at the sandbags. So the last thing that you want to do is spend too much time pushing it over. But also, if you come up short like Ricky did, he's got to pin his body against it to try to save it so it doesn't land all the way back on the ground. Somehow he was able to do that, still cross the finish line.
Hopper working on that right hamstring a little bit. They've tightened up a little bit on him.
Yep, and a reminder to everybody that's watching, we've been battling the rain here, but it is hot and muggy. So these athletes are trying to stay on top of their hydration, stay loose as they wait there in the dugout. Again, all of these are skills and things that come with exposure, but you're being asked to move as fast and as violently as you can through space in the race, and then sit down and relax for a few minutes and then dust it off and repeat.
We are waiting for 5 men. Hopper, he's going to go. We knew that would happen with that best time. Mayer is advancing, so 3 spots left. Hosta is in. Fikowski is in. And Pat Vellner. That is big for Vellner. Vellner and Fikowski both moving along with Hosta, Hopper, and Mayer.
Now Pat probably saying something to Yellow Hosta as in, slow down just a little bit on this next one. Over and under the logs for me. I need to make sure I get to the bags before you.
The Brent Fikowski comes in 6th place overall with 265 points. He was only 25 points out of a spot inside the top 3, and the 3 men in front of him in the overall standings, make that the 4 men in front of him, they are all out. Vellner's the only guy left, and he's the overall leader. Vellner's going to widen his lead heading into the 1 rep max deadlift tonight, and that's an event he should do very well at as well.
Yeah, I like that event for Pat. He's got a very strong deadlift and a very great history when it appears, and is a substantial influence in any event. You see most of the athletes dousing their whole body in chalk. Yellow Hosta all over his belly, Brent all over his arms. Any friction you can create with that sandbag so that it sticks to you in any kind of way to get it up and over, they're going to do it.
It's like me getting ready to run a 200.
Just chalk all over.
You know, never hurts.
Especially if it's intervals during the rest, you know what I mean? Like, or just between rounds, you know, you need some time. You might as well do something.
Need my chalk.
There it is. Pat's making sure he gets it between his chest hairs.
Let's take a look at Pat Vellner's last run. He put up a time of 21.86 seconds to get himself in. And he's really doing a fantastic job of getting over and under those first 3 logs. It's right in the middle of your screen.
Yeah, he's smooth, and again, he minimizes the distance that he has to jump. He keeps his hip low to the log, lifts his legs just enough over the top.
This is his first attempt here. You saw Adler wipe out in the back.
Clean run for Pat. He's been clean on the bags for the most part. He had a little bit of a hesitation on one of the second bags in one of his runs, but other than that, he's been very clean, and I think that's really where, and that's the hesitation there. That was his third bag. But other than that, he's been very clean there and seizing the moment. So combining that with the way he's over, under, and over those logs, that's why he's sitting in the position that he is now in the top 5.
And then he improved on that time in his second run, 21.86 seconds. Now here he is in the 5 athletes that remain. He will be leading Hosta, Hopper, Mayer, and Fikowski out onto the field.
You got to assume based on performance, all eyes on Pat as the leader, but your favorite has to be Jayson Hopper. Every time he's crossed that finish line, he's pretty much won the heat that he's present in. So hopefully that right hamstring isn't tightened up on him too much and he's ready to do it again.
Yellow Hosta is also extremely dangerous if he can get to those bags anywhere towards the front of the pack here. Top 2 men move on from this heat.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1, go!
Here we go. Hopper and Vellner, followed by Fikowski, Hosta, and Mayer. First bag is in. Hosta on his third bag along with Hopper. It's going to be Hopper, and it looks like Vellner may have beat out Fikowski. Fikowski at the far side, I don't know. That's going to be close. Fikowski sold out for that finish, and it is going to be Fikowski. Brent Fikowski just edging out Pat Vellner by 2/10 of a second. So it's going to be Hopper against Fikowski in the final. Vellner's going to lock up a 3rd place finish, and that's going to be worth 90 points for Pat.
Wow, what an effort by Brent there. It looked like he was out of the discussion for top 2 for a split second, and he refused. He refused to be denied. That's what it looks like. Effort over everything. Truly a great example of that there by Brent.
Trying to keep an eye on the whole field during the finish. It looked, from our vantage point, that maybe Vellner got there first, but it's Fikowski with the effort at the end to get himself into the final round.
It was tight the whole way. Almost every athlete even had a clean run with their bags. Again, it's finding the space there.
And one more look, you could see Fikowski go sliding in ahead of Vellner.
And it just wasn't even close. Hopper dusted everybody in this top 5.
There's Fikowski just making the slide. There is a timer on their foot. Man, that is close. But Brent Fikowski with a great effort at the end is going to go head-to-head with Jayson Hopper. Now, the good news for Vellner is he didn't have to win this event because all the guys immediately behind him have been out for a while. So he should have an even 400 points heading into the 1-rep max deadlift. And now the question is, how big will his lead be atop the overall standings? Brent Fikowski is looking to move into maybe as high as 2nd place, depending on how he can do here. And Jayson Hopper, he came into this event looking for his name on the leaderboard in 14th place overall. So Hopper, he could really rocket up the standings as well.
It's a great look above here as the athletes are over, under, over. Hopper's clean all the way through down the center of your screen, and then he never slows down on these bags. He has a great way to remain aggressive as he literally throws them in and pushes the bag away from his body into the teeter. It almost trajects him forward to the next bag. Smooth finish there.
And that finish between Fikowski and Vellner was just so close.
It really was, and that's one of the reasons we refer to Brent as the professor, right? Like, he has the awareness in almost every moment how to create advantage for himself. And in that particular moment, it was, hey, if my foot's going to be what trips this time for me, I'm going to send it across the finish line. Also, by the way, as I slide across, I'm tapping the front of the box with my hand. It was a beautiful thing to watch.
2 men remain. It's going to be Hopper versus Fikowski for the event win and 100 points. The overall standings coming in, once again, had Pat Vellner atop the overall leaderboard, and he did not have much of a lead on Noah Olson, but that is going to get a lot bigger, courtesy of what looks to be a third-place finish in this event for Vellner. He'll add 90 points to his total and move up to 400. Brent Fikowski at 265, he's still alive, and he has a chance to maybe move up as high as second place. And Jayson Hopper, he can really put himself in great position heading into the 1-rep max deadlift tonight.
Yeah, which also should be a good lift for Jayson.
14th place overall. He'd add 100 points to that total if he can pick up the event win here and out-duel Brent Fikowski. Still have a couple minutes before Hopper and Fikowski make their way out onto the field for the final round.
Yeah, and we start thinking about the accumulation of work that these athletes have already gone through. About to wrap up the Duel 3 here, event 5. And this morning they did 120 power snatches at 95 and 65 pounds. Now they've sprinted their tail off several times up and down this field. And then tonight, if their low back wasn't warm enough already, we're going to go ahead and put some heavy weights out there on the platform and have them pick it up and see how heavy they can go.
So recovery is going to be key, especially for Brent Fikowski and Jayson Hopper. Hopper earlier, again, was grabbing at that right hamstring. Brent Fikowski choosing just to sit in silence next to Travis Mayer as Hopper's talking things over with Dallin Pepper, Jeff Adler, and Patrick Vellner.
Yeah, and Brent got up a little gingerly after he took that slide. He paused for a long second there, kind of stood there. His judge was like, "You good?" He was like, "Oh, I'm all right."
Well, last night you could get away with sliding across the finish. There was still a little bit of moisture out there that would allow you to kind of hydroplane across.
That's true.
You're kind of sticking to that surface out there now. There hasn't been a whole lot of rain today. There was some last night. There was a little bit in the afternoon. But for the most part, the weather's been pretty good here. Again, hot and humid. But we haven't had the torrential downpours that we've seen the past couple of days here in Round Rock, Texas. There's Ricky Garrard as well. Ricky Garrard, he was inside the top 10 coming into this event, 9th place overall. And I mentioned in that slide, Adrian, here's what it looked like as he sold out to get himself into this final round.
Just a little intensity there.
Getting the signal from the first base coach to hit the deck there as he crosses home plate.
And he got it. He was like, "Hey, yeah, I'm gonna celebrate. I know I got him. I know I inched him out." And I bet if we rewound and went back, he'd do the same thing again.
He may have to, as he's going to take on Jayson Hopper for the event win. We'll take a quick break. When we return, final round, Hopper versus Fikowski in the Duel 3. We are set for the showdown between Brent Fikowski and Jayson Hopper. One final race for 100 points.
Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Jayson Hopper has been extremely consistent throughout this event. Beat Fikowski in the last heat. We'll see if he can duplicate that here in the final and pick up the event win.
Yeah, from what we've seen from Jayson is that, you know, the biggest mistake he's had is not touching that box on the first time through and having to hustle back to make contact with it. Other than that, he has had a clean run every time. Handled the sandbags the same way he needed to. Over, under, over. Clean and smooth.
3, 2, 1, go!
Hopper versus Fikowski for the win here. Neck and neck with Hopper slightly in front as they get to the bags. First one is in. Second one is in. And now the third, and it's going to be Hopper just ahead of Brent Fikowski. 100 points and an event win for Jayson Hopper. 19.94 seconds.
Well, we said it wasn't foreign territory for him to be out on a field of open grass and maybe an obstacle or two. It's familiar territory for a college football player, and he was able to capitalize on the Duel 3.
Former receiver from Clemson, just running a bunch of go routes out there. And he is going right to the top and picks up his first win of this competition. And Jayson Hopper now looks to move into the top 10. One more look.
What a clean run for both athletes all the way through. I mean, literally neck and neck, almost synchronization taking place out there on the field. Jayson there created a little bit of a separation with an extra burst for about 5 to 10 yards more aggressively. He throttled it down to approach the sandbags, and then that turn and go that he's got away from the sandbags, uses that final one to traject him right across the finish line. A little chest pound, and he said, that's my jam, baby.
You can't get much closer than that through the logs, but it was a sprint where Hopper was able to open up a little bit of a distance, and that probably made the difference here in this race.
Yeah, that was the acceleration and space that he needed. He used, of course, that's an athletic background experience thing that he was familiar with. He knew he could create separation there, and he did.
Fourth career Rogue Invitational event win for Jayson Hopper, and he and Brent Fikowski are with Kiki Dixon.
Jayson, congratulations on your event win. What an exciting event. Walk me through that last run.
Oh, it's such a great event. Rogue puts on an amazing event for sure. It's an adrenaline rush, honestly. No time to really think. Rely on execution, rely on your training, and just send it.
Jayson just sent it. You're known to be very calculated. Where was the balance of calculation and just full send?
Yeah, the first round, kind of getting my bearings, learned a few things, and I just tried to speed up one thing every round. I think my times got a little faster each round, but they were always a little slower than Hopper's, so.
You did get faster a little bit each round. What were the adjustments that you were making along the way?
Contact time on the sprint, I was lagging a bit, and then the one thing I noticed from Hopper was he would put the bag in and immediately bring his chest down to the bag, and I was taking my time getting down to the next bag. So that was one thing I was able to do to get into the final two.
Brent was taking some cues from you. I saw you had a little conversation with Adler and Vellner there before this final run. What advice did they give you, and was it any help?
Yeah, I mean, every time I jumped over the log, I was jumping too high, and so there was like this dead time of me just floating, and I knew that was just wasting time. And so talking to Vellner about how I could just not miss the log by jumping, not high enough, but just get over just in time.
Well, congratulations. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Jayson Hopper edges out Brent Fikowski, picks up his first event win of this competition, his fourth career win here at the Rogue Invitational, and looks to move his way up the overall standings. Came into this event in 14th place overall. Brent Fikowski will take second. He'll pick up 95 points. He could be in the top 2 heading into tonight's 1-rep max deadlift. Pat Vellner, he will be your overall leader with a total of 400 points. And Travis Mayer takes 4th. That's his best finish of the competition.
We got quite the competition gearing up.
And here are the updated overall standings. And Fikowski does move into second. 40 points back of Vellner. Bjorven Carl Gumison creeps up into 3rd. He's 5 points up on Jeff Adler. Noah Olson sits in 5th, and Roman Krennikov will drop down 1 spot from where he came into this event in 5th place. Travis Mayer now up in 7th. He's up 3 spots. And Jayson Hopper, he goes from 14th up to 9th. The Duel 3 is done. Danny Spiegel for the women, Jayson Hopper for the men. Plenty of action still to come here on a busy Saturday at the 2023 Rogue Invitational. To keep up to date on everything going on here in Round Rock, Texas, you can head to roguefitness.com/invitational. Coming up next, final event for the strongmen. They go through the Duel as our coverage continues here at the 2023 Rogue Invitational.